All right. So today we're going to go over the MIPS performance categories. Then we're going to go through the quality performance category score, the advancing care information category score, the clinical practice improvement activities category score, and then we're going to go through two examples, a primary care scoring example and a cardiologist scoring example. And then finally, how do we track performance? We're going to go over some strategies for performance tracking so that we can monitor how these scores are actually impacting our practice on the day-to-day. So our category overview, as we learned in our previous webinar, we have weighted performance categories. Our quality category is the largest weight for performance year 2017 at 60%. And then we also have advancing care information at 25 and clinical practice improvement activities at 15%. So what does this weight actually mean? It basically takes our raw score and weights it, which then converts into a final composite score. So as you can see on the right-hand side of your screen under the scorecard, each section has a total number of points, which is then multiplied by its weighted factor and then finally converted into a composite score. It's a little confusing. You'll see we have points then multiplied by a weight, which becomes a percentage, and then we convert the percentage back into a final composite score, which is actually on a point scale. So it's nice and complicated, but hopefully by the end of the presentation today, you'll understand how each section is scored, and you'll have a better idea of how you can start to estimate your MIPS composite score. To note also, in 2017, data in each category must be submitted for at least one continuous 90-day period. But each category can actually be reported for a different 90-day period. So you could use 90 days for advancing care information that may not be the same 90 days for clinical practice improvement. Okay, so let's break down this scorecard a little bit more. So again, we've got three main sections for 2017, quality, advancing care information, and clinical practice improvement. In the quality section, there are measure requirements and then the opportunity to earn bonus points. In the advancing care information section, similarly, we have a base score, which is sort of like measure requirements. We have a performance score, and then again, the opportunity to earn bonus points. And then finally, in the clinical practice improvement category, we have the number of activities that we participate in times the weight of the activity. So as you can see, each category is scored slightly differently, and these all roll up into our total MIPS score. So let's go through each category in a little bit more detail. So the quality measures category score. So as we mentioned, there are measure requirements that sort of serve as that base score. We have each of these requirements can earn up to 10 points. Each clinician must report at least 6 quality measures, and one of the measures has to be a high priority or an outcome measure. And then you earn points for these measures based on benchmarks. So what does that mean? That means that each measure is assigned 1 to 10 points. Most benchmarks are based on deciles, and they're based on national averages. And if a measure doesn't have a benchmark, it's arbitrarily assigned 3 points. So another caveat here is certain specialties don't have 6 quality measures in their specialty available to them. So if that's the case, they have to do the maximum number of measures that are available. For example, if you're in a specialty where there are only 4 measures that are available in the quality measures category section, you would complete all 4 measures and therefore get your 60 total points. Also of note, there has to be at least 1 high priority or outcome measure. That has to be 1 of the 6 total. How can we earn bonus points in the quality measures category? You can earn bonus points by doing an outcome or patient experience measure. you could do an additional high priority measure. So you do the one required in your 6 base measures, and then you add an additional one. Or you could do a measure that requires end-to-end electronic reporting. So there's a maximum of 4 total bonus points available. And the reminder here is that there has to be a sufficient sample size and performance rate more than 0 in order to get your bonus points. So the quality measures score overall is going to be your 6 required measures, including that 1 high priority measure, plus 4 potential bonus points out of a total of 60. So the math looks a little funky here. There are 64 available points, but CMS caps us at 60. So the most points we can earn in this category is 60 points, but we have 64 points available to us. Again, the caveat being if we are in a specialty that has less than 6 quality measures, then we will only report the total number that we have. And each of these measures could be up to 10 points, but not necessarily all of them are worth 10 points. Based on the benchmarking, and if the benchmark does not exist for that particular quality measure, we would assume a point score of 3. All right, let's move on to advancing care information. So similar to the quality category, advancing care information has a base score requirement. So in this instance, we need to have 4 of our measures met, and then there's an additional 5th measure if we have a 2015 certified EHR technology. So the required 4 to pass this base score include completing a security risk analysis, and this is just a yes/no measure, whether or not we participate in e-prescribing, providing patient access, and then linking to our health information exchange. The e-prescribing, providing patient access, and health information exchange all must have a 1 in the numerator and denominator in order to pass those measures. So there's this additional 2015 certified EHR technology measure available as part of the base score. If you're using 2015 cert, then in order to pass your base score, you need to also be able to request or accept a summary of care. And all 2015 certified EMR technologies should be able to do this. So here's the kicker with advancing care information. All base requirements must be met to receive the 50 points. So this is an all or nothing. You either pass all of your measures or you don't. And if you don't pass your measures, then you get a 0 in your advancing care information category. Okay? So base is worth 50 total points towards your score. But if you don't pass your base, we're not going to get any score for advancing care information. There are performance points available to you in the advancing care information category. These points are for patient electronic access, coordination of care through patient engagement, and health information exchange. So these performance score categories are graded on a slightly different scale. You get points, as you can see inside the computer screen, for each of the 3 measures, but depending on the number of points that you get, your performance rate is then rounded to a percentage that's added to your total score at the end for this particular advancing care information category. We're going to break this down in a little more detail when we go into the examples. There are 90 total performance points available to you in the advancing care information category, and just a reminder, you have to pass those 50 base before you can tap into access 90 of these performance points. And then finally, there are bonus points. So we've got base, performance, and bonus in the advancing care information category. The bonus points include additional public health and clinical registry reporting, and also reporting specific improvement activities using your certified EHR technology. So there are 15 total bonus points available to you. So we've got the base points, 4 required, right? Those first 4 moving left to right, and then a 5th if you have a 2015 certified EHR technology, plus your potential 90 performance points and your 15 bonus points. leaving us with a total of 155 potential points, which caps out at 100. So similar to the quality section, we have 155 points available to us, but we can only earn a total of 100. So if we earn above 100, that's great, but CMS is going to give us credit for 100. All right, let's take a quick break. I know that was a lot to absorb. Let's do a little poll. So I'm going to go ahead and launch this. If a quality measure doesn't have a benchmark, how many points are assigned to the measure? So go ahead and take a minute to enter your answer there. We'll collect the results and then I'll share them with everyone. It's looking pretty good. All right, we're going to give 10 more seconds. All right. So the majority of respondents got the question right. If the quality measure does not have a benchmark, it's automatically assigned 3 points. Awesome, awesome. So as we can see by this question, there's a little bit of strategy involved when selecting quality measures, right? We want to select the quality measures that give us the most bang for our buck. So we know that some measures are high priority or are assigned up to 10 points. And then those that aren't benchmarked are automatically assigned 3. So you can see there's a pretty big difference there. So we want to tend towards quality measures that have that higher benchmark. Awesome. All right, let's keep going. So our next section is clinical practice improvement activities. So this section is split. For practice sizes less than 15 providers, our scores are as follows. Practices can choose from over 100 activity measures that are grouped into 8 categories, and they have to report 1 to 2 measures. So there are 2 types of measures, medium weight and high weight, for a total of 40 points. So as you can see, if a practice chooses to report 1 high weight measure, they would earn the total of 40 points. If they chose to report only 1 medium weight measure, they'd earn 20 out of 40. Alternatively, they could report 2 20-point measures and earn the 40 points total. So now this is a little bit different for practices over 15 providers, right? So if we have 16 providers or more, again, you can choose from the same activities that are grouped into the 8 categories, but this time large practices must report 2 to 4 measures, and their medium weight measures are worth 10 points and their high weight measures are worth 20. Same total number of points, just giving the smaller practices the opportunity to select less measures and earn the same number of points as the larger practices. All right, let's get into an example. I always find that examples really help me understand concepts a lot better. So here we have a primary care scoring example. Dr. Brown, this is his MIPS scorecard. So in the quality section, he selected 6 measures, 2 of which are high priority. So as you can see on the far right-hand side, he's got his 6 measures there. 2 of them are blue, indicating that they're high priority measures. So that means that he has a total score of 51 out of 60 points, which once weighted with the 60% that quality is worth, we end up with 51% in the quality category. For advancing care information, he submitted his required base score measures, and he is not on a 2015 certified EHR technology, so he only has to report 4. And he also reported 1 performance measure, which was providing patient-specific education. So in this case, he gets his base of his 50 points, okay, and that's weighted at 25%. Then his performance measure is 25 points, which we remember on that scale, anything from 21 to 30 points was given an additional 3%. So then his total overall percentage score for advancing care information comes to 15.5%. And then in clinical practice improvement, he decides to take on 1 high weight activity, 1 medium weight activity in this case, and he completes that successfully, it's weighted at 15%. So he ends up with 7.5% in the clinical practice improvement category. So his total composite score is 74%. We then multiply that by 100, bring us back to the point scale, and we're at 74. So Dr. Brown ends up with a 74 composite score. So let's take a look at Dr. Hudson, who's the cardiologist. So in this case, Dr. Hudson works for a large practice, 18 providers. They are going to report as a group, and they're submitting through an EHR. They do have a 2015 certified EHR technology, so let's keep that in mind as we go through each section. In the quality section, they reported their 6 measures, and they had one that was a high priority measure, and one that was an outcome measure. So they have 2 essentially measures that are weighted more highly than the other 4. So they earned 48 out of 60 points. Multiply that by their 60% quality weighting, and then they end up with 48% in the quality category. For advancing care information, because they have that 2015 certified EHR technology, they pass their base, so they get their 50 base points, and they automatically get a bonus for having the 2015 certified EHR technology. So their total comes out to 22.5%. And then in the clinical practice improvement section, they do 2 high weight activities, and so they earn 40 out of their 40 points total, which gives them a 15% score in this category. So overall, their composite score is 85.5%, which is 85.5 points total. All right, let's see how we're doing here. Let's switch up the poll question. And so I'm going to go ahead and launch another question. What will be the total advancing care information score for a clinician that reports 3 out of the 4 base score measures? All right, people are voting in quickly. This is great. Give about another 10 seconds. All right. So most of you, again, got it correct. So a clinician that reports 3 out of the 4 base score measures will receive 0 points, right? We have to complete all 4 base score measures to get that 50-point base in order to then be eligible for the performance and bonus points. Awesome, awesome. All right, we have one more question for you before we wrap up. How can a group of 20 clinicians earn the maximum number of points for the clinical practice improvement category? 20 clinicians. So remember, there is a difference here. Awesome. Okay, we'll give you about 5 more seconds. Okay, so this is a little bit of a trick question. So a group of 20 clinicians can earn the maximum number of points by either reporting 4 medium weight activities or reporting 2 high weight activities. So awesome. A lot of folks got that correct. Great. All right, so how can we track our performance? We understand how the score is calculated, right? And how do we make sure that our practice is performing? So hopefully you all have seen the QRUR, the report that's on the left-hand side of the slide. That is the Quality Resource Utilization Report, and that is available to all of you now. this QRUR is going to become the MIPS performance feedback report. So every practice, instead of getting a QRUR, will now get a MIPS performance feedback report. Technically, CMS actually published the first MIPS report. It was still called the QRUR, but they did let everyone know that this would be the first MIPS report, and it was released September of 2016. So the link is there if you want to go ahead and download yours. The MIPS performance feedback report has not been released yet. So CMS has not released a template or a sample report. Our best guess is that it's going to look something like the QRUR. It's going to track and trend quality measures, and hopefully over time the reports will be more and more dynamic. There is talk about having an online dashboard where you can go in and look at your performance feedback report instead of it being a static PDF like the QRUR is now. So what are some performance tracking strategies for success? So number one, if you've never accessed your QRUR, now is definitely the time to do that. It is available to you. It is through a CMS website, so you can imagine what that means. There are lots of passwords involved, but it is definitely something you should be studying. And if you have any questions about that, we are certainly here to help. Number two, monitor your practice performance and quality measures. So your EMR should be able to provide you with regular reporting, either that or through a clinical registry that you're linked up with. So you want to definitely be checking in on your performance, on capturing those quality measures on a regular basis. And this is just good practice in general, right? Because if we're in any other value-based or risk contracts, we need to be making sure that we're meeting quality measure targets. The third thing is make sure that you're reporting to your local HIE, and that if possible, you're connected to some public health registries. Those are easy points, right? And connection to your local HIE is required for that advancing care information-based score. So we just want to make sure that you're leveraging your technology and plugged in. Map out your practice improvement workflows to meet your clinical practice improvement measures. So MIPS is really encouraging us to get down and dirty with our workflows and everyday operations. In order to meet those improvement measures, we need to reevaluate how our practice flows. How are we leveraging our technology? How are we leveraging our clinical staff? And then finally, tune into our final webinar on Wednesday, January 17th. Same time, 12 p.m. We're going to be talking about MIPS practice transformation and some strategies that you all can use and implement in your practices. So with that, I will pause for some questions. Again, you can enter it in the chat box. I will hang out for a little bit and answer any questions that might pop up. All right, so we have one here. Will my quality performance score be negatively impacted if I report less than 6 measures? So your quality performance score, reminder, is required to report at least 6 measures. With that information in mind, if you're a specialty that does not offer at least 6 quality measures, then it is required that you report the total number of measures that the specialty offers. So it will be negatively impacted if you are in a specialty, for example, primary care, that has tons of quality measures available to you. Okay, we have another question. The scoring you just went over does not apply to an ACO, correct? ACOs are scored differently. Just wanted to confirm. Great question. So the answer is yes and no. Some ACOs will qualify as an advanced payment model or APM, so they're not going to qualify under MIPS. Some ACOs, however, will need to still report under MIPS. They are scored slightly differently, but generally the principles still apply. So the reporting mechanism, the way that you're going to report this information to CMS is going to be different. You won't have to go through the EHR technology or other channels that accept MIPS reporting. You're going to go through something called GPRO reporting. But most of the quality measures will be the same, and the advancing care information measures and also the practice improvement activities you'll automatically get full credit for those because you're already in an ACO, which is considered an alternative payment model. Great questions. Okay. Is it possible to get 100 points in the advancing care information category if the base score measures are not reported? So the answer to that is no. You have to at least report on the base measures. And again, those are the 4 required measures. Or if you have a certified EHR technology, that will be 5 measures. Great. Looks like we have one more here. If a quality measure does not have a benchmark, how will it be scored? So if a quality measure does not have a benchmark, it is automatically given 3 points. Awesome. Great questions. Well, thank you all so much for joining. We hope this was helpful. This will be available recorded on our website. I will send an email shortly with all of that information, and we look forward to having you join us at our next webinar on Wednesday, January 17th. Thanks so much.